Let's talk about the Union Jack. You remember last week there was a 12-year-old girl called Courtney Wright, I seem to remember, went to her school in Rugby. It was supposed to be a culture day. There she is in her little Union Jack dress. She wanted to talk about tea, Shakespeare, fish and chips, and the royal family. She was banned from the school. Because the teacher said, oh, no, this isn't for the Brits, this is for all the other cultures. There was, quite rightly, a big storm about that. Her dad came on to talk, to complain. The school apologised for their mishandling of this situation, but you got the feeling they still thought they did the right thing. Well, it's damn well happened again, only this time even worse. This is a school. Why don't they call schools schools these days? This is a school. Guess what it's called? The Ormiston Sandwell Community Academy. Why don't they just call it the Ormiston Middle School or whatever the hell they call them these days? It's a ridiculous name. Anyway, at the Ormiston Sandwell Community Academy, which is just a school, by the way, dozens of pupils, that's in the West Midlands, were asked to wear outfits. The school was asked to wear outfits to reflect their heritage. Dozens of pupils turned up wearing Union Jack flags, you know, either in the form of, the girls were wearing them in the form of skirts and dresses, some just sort of draped them around their shoulders, and 20, as I say, dozens of them, but 30 kids in patriotic garb were isolated. They were taken to a classroom and not allowed to mix with the rest of the kids. Meanwhile, some kids were running around the school, embraced by the teachers, wearing Jamaican, Spanish, loads of foreign flags, but the Union Jack wasn't allowed. It was called Culture Day. One 15-year-old pupil who's in the Sun today, her name's Isabel Oakeshott, she asked the head teacher why she was being corralled into a classroom with 30 other kids in patriotic garb, and she says she was simply told, because it's not allowed. What is going on? Why can't kids wear the Union Jack? Why do teachers think that our national flag is some kind of abomination?
I mean, this story is so sort of symbolic, isn't it, of the wider things that are going on, and I really worry about what's going on in UK schools. It's actually one of the reasons why I took my own children out of the UK for their education, because of the absolute woke nonsense and brainwashing that is going on in our schools. And this idea that our national flag should be a source of shame is absolutely appalling. But it is encouraged, I think, by the political leadership, and that's not just Labour, it's the Tories that came before them, who seem to think, for example, that the pride flag is almost a replacement for the Union Jack sometimes. And you know, when I was in London about 10 days ago, there were huge Union Jacks all down the Mall in London, and they looked absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. And it's a good flag, isn't it, actually?
It's a great flag. Why can't we have more of it, not less of it? And, you know, bottom line is this basically ends up being discrimination against ourselves. It's so self-harming and completely bizarre.
Yeah, and I worry about what's going on in schools. There are a lot of great teachers, obviously, but I think there are a lot of teachers who are either deliberately brainwashing our kids into a kind of left-wing, overly liberal worldview, not letting them make up their own minds, but brainwashing them into their way of thinking. Either there are teachers who do this deliberately, or they're so stupid, and there are a lot of stupid teachers out there, they don't even realise that what they're teaching kids are not facts. They're kind of political opinions. So we did a story last night about a school in Streatham, southwest London, where it's a primary school. Kids at 5 years to 11 years old, 5 to 11 years old. And they were being taught about masculinity, and they were shown a big picture of this actor. It's called Elliot something, I can't quite remember his name. But when I say he, it's a she. So it's a woman who's had surgery to become, you know, to pretend to be a man. So yeah. She's had all the surgery. So this actor person. I'll look it up in a second while you think about this. Was shown. This is a great example of, this is how you get away from toxic masculinity, because this is an example of masculinity that is soft and strong. It's a bloody woman.
Oh my God. I mean, look, this is rife. I can probably say this now because my children have all left the school, but only a few months ago, I had to write to the head teacher of my daughter's otherwise excellent school, raising a complaint about an external speaker to the scholarship group of pupils, who I heard from multiple witnesses started being very disparaging about my partner, Richard Tice, who is a Reform MP. Clearly, they didn't know that someone in the audience was quite well connected with the MP in question. I found this totally unacceptable. By all means, have a political conversation, but you've got to represent both sides if you're in education. You can't just try to feed children the idea that everybody on the right of politics must be an idiot. And in this case, a kind of climate change denier. I think that was the context of it. This is absolutely rife. As I say, my girls' former school is absolutely outstanding. It's a really brilliant school. And yet, even in one of the best schools in the country, this stuff takes place. Yeah,
it's because, again, I don't want to disparage all teachers. Most teachers are great, but there are a lot of idiot teachers out there as well, and a lot of really serious left-wing moron teachers who see their job as brainwashing children into groupthink, net zero, all that kind of stuff, and of course gender politics. Now, the Canadian actor I told you about, Elliot Page, that's a woman who's had surgery to pretend that she's a man. She was held up to the kids, 5 to 11 years old. You see that masculinity can mean softness and strength. Also, these kids were assailed by pictures of Harry Styles, because Harry Styles likes to wear pretty feminine clothes. And that was that proof that men can be multi-dimensional. No pictures of, footballers who like a few beers, that kind of thing, that sort of masculinity. We can't have that. This is the head teacher. Her name's Sarah Wardlaw. I call her a social engineer. She said this, listen to this. This is what she said. This is about these kids, 5 to 11 years old. She's talking about, it is important to teach pupils about harmful stereotypes about masculinity. Undoing the deeply ingrained gender stereotypes in our society takes time. We have seen a significant improvement in children's awareness of key issues surrounding gender equality. They know how to use their voice to advocate for others. They're 5 years old.
I mean, this is just kind of laughable, is it? Well, it would be laughable if it wasn't serious, and it is really serious, because what you're doing there is no favour to little ones who don't need to have this twaddle confusing their minds at that age. It's not relevant to a 5-year-old. It's not relevant to a 6-year-old. I'm not sure it's relevant remotely, frankly, to an 11-year-old either. Let children be children.
Yeah. And also, clearly, Miss Wardlaw and her ilk, they think that any kind of masculinity, that, a more traditional, cliched idea of masculinity, maybe someone like me, who likes to go to football, have a few beers, hang out with his mates and all that kind of stuff. They think that's toxic masculinity. Oh no, we don't want that kind of masculinity. Well, it is a kind of masculinity, and it's probably the most healthy kind of masculinity to promote to 5-year-old kids, rather than confuse them with some pretend bloke who's a woman. It's just mad, isn't it? Kind of
sick decadence of a culture, isn't it? Yeah. Our enemies are not doing this. In China, they're busy teaching young men how to be real men by toughening them up. Yeah. And these are our adversaries. I don't think there's a whole load of this woke stuff in Russia, for example.